Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Understanding Behavior live stream. We've got our Behavior Binge Bonanza today, so I am super excited for that. I love these events. It's a great time for me to collaborate with some of the other students live and get a nice variety of topics and get super deep into them. So welcome, welcome. Thank you guys so much for coming to this event. You'll get my whole face today for a sec at least. We're going to start today off with a little bit of stuff on discrimination and motivation. I think we're actually we've got about half an hour, so we'll probably do discrimination to focus on, and then we'll get into some motivation stuff later as well. But yeah, how's everybody doing today? Everybody having a good weekend? All right, glad to hear. How we doing? How we doing? If you haven't yet, a great free way to support the channel is to just like this video so more people will see it and get on here. Nice. Oh, Sarita, 79 on the mock? Was that the Beat the Beast mock? That's awesome. Nice. Tiffany's been pretty chill. Maybe Oni's going pretty good. Awesome. Stephanie T, welcome. I think you're here on Thursday. Welcome back. Sweet. Glad you're all having a good weekend. It's been pretty chill over here too. Things are rolling smoothly. Awesome. Sorry, I just have a million screens up. I'm trying to get a bit organized here. So, yeah, like I just mentioned, we're going to start today off. We're going to talk about stimulus discrimination, since it's a topic that we haven't talked about in a while. And it also just happens to be one of my favorite topics, too. So, we'll start off with that. And then we've got a few people that have signed up to come on. We've got Nicole coming here at 2 p.m. Eastern. She's got a mystery bag of topics for me. I don't know what she's planning on reviewing yet. Canyon is coming on at 2:20 Eastern. She's got parametric component and comparative analyses to discuss arbitrary matching, and then if there's time, we'll get into some generalization programming tools as well. Georgia has opted to choose her topics but not come on live on stream. She wanted to discuss SDs versus MOs. We'll get into a little bit of that in our kind of pre-discussion. We'll talk about extraneous and confounding variables, and then we'll talk about FA data analysis. So yeah, stay tuned for all of that. Let me just catch up on chat real quick. Yay, Stephanie. Glad you've been digging the mini mocks. Love it, love it, love it. Amy got a 72 on the Beat the Beast. That is pretty good for sure. Yeah, if you're not familiar with the Beat the Beast mock exam, we do have a scoring scale for this mock exam. So this is for your scoring scale on the scoring scale on your first attempt taking this. So under 60%, the Beast has won. 60 to 65%, the Beast points out some work to do. 65 to 70%, you are a worthy adversary, but the fight could go either way, so get some studying in. 70 to 75, you have a good shot at the Beast, but definitely don't get too cocky. Make sure you're still tightening up on your studying. 75 to 80%, the Beast is turned into a friendly deer, and you will most likely win. 80% or higher, and you are a Beast Wrangler. You will conquer the BCBA exam, money back guaranteed. So I think it's pretty much like one of the only mock exams out there that will give you your money back if you don't pass the BCBA exam. So definitely go check that out. In addition, we also have our mini mocks for mastery. These include some very difficult scenario questions that will really test your knowledge and run you through the ringer. There's mini mocks that are broken up by section, as well as a couple of free mixed mini mocks. So if you just want to get a taste for this too, you can also check out the free mini mocks on our Learn World. I'll post a link for that in chat as well. So definitely give those a look if you're looking for some really tough questions to get into. And then if you are interested in both of these products, you can get the Ultimate Mock Bundle. It's just $115. So you can that comes with both the Beat the Beast mock and the mini mocks for mastery. So really great deal, amazing value in that. Has anybody here gotten the Ultimate Mock Bundle and have been digging it? in these behavior binge bonanzas, I like to do a couple extra giveaways too. So usually in the Thursday streams, we'll give away like a copy of the Beat the Beast. But in the behavior binge bonanzas, we're gonna give away, I think, at least 2 mock bundles today. Sweet. Yeah, Janelle's loving it. Nadia's loving it. Good. Yeah, I'm glad that's been increasing your fluency, Nadia. Good. Nice, Gail. Mayone's gotten them. Nice. Cynthia just got them today. Awesome. Thanks so much. So yeah, if you're so stay tuned. We'll give away a couple of these mock bundles today, at random points during the stream. So stay tuned for that. All right. Let me go ahead and we're going to get into our presentation. We're going to get into, we're going to start off with, let's take a vote. What do you guys think? So I was going to start off with discrimination, but should we do motivation too, or should we just go right into discrimination? What do you guys think? Maybe we'll do motivation later, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I can't decide. I'm very indecisive right at this moment. Should we do discrimination, or motivation, or both? Okay, people feeling both? Okay, discrimination. Nice, Sandy. Glad you're here. Yeah, we've got 2 more minis coming out really soon. Hopefully they'll be out tomorrow. Fingers crossed. We've got a little bit more, just a few more things to touch up on them. All right. How about, people are saying both. How about, yeah, we'll do both. Let's start off with our MOs. The MO section here is fairly brief, but it does kind of get to the gist of what you need to know for MO. So let's go ahead and start there. Again, if you haven't liked the video yet, it does help the channel quite a bit. So please do that if you are here and active. All right, let's go through motivating operations. So the motivating operations, the simple way to think about it is like what creates like desire for something or repulsions for something. A lot of people get like the desire, like the want something, but a lot of people forget like this can also create repulsion, so it can make things less cool or more punishing. Let's go through MOs 101. So here's our definition. It's a stimulus that alters the value of another stimulus as a reinforcer or a punisher. And so basically what this does is it makes reinforcers either stronger or weaker, or it can make punishers stronger or weaker. So both directions. Easy definition. So it's something that makes something else cooler or shittier. So if you're totally stumping and just need to use like some loose terminology, that's a decent definition to go with. All right. When we're talking about motivating operations, I think it's really important to make the distinction between reinforcers and reinforcement. So a reinforcer is a stimulus that increases the rate of the response it follows. And for recap here, reinforcement is not just the stimulus, it's the relation between a behavior and a consequence. So having that contingent relationship, the behavior produces the consequence, and this consequence causes increased future rate of that response in the future. So because of that consequence following the behavior is going to occur more frequently in the future. So this is really important. If we go back to our definition here, motivating operations, they alter the value of reinforcers and punishers. So when we're talking about like the value of a reinforcer or punisher, this is referring to how much it's going to increase the behavior. So not just that it increases the behavior, but how much is it going to increase the behavior? So when we have stronger reinforcers, that means when those stimuli are used in reinforcement, it's going to result in stronger reinforcement. It's going to have greater increases in the behavior when this stimulus is used as a reinforcer in that contingency. So increased value of a reinforcer just means that we see bigger increases in rate when it's used in reinforcement. How are we feeling on that? Has anyone ever thought about that? Like the value of a reinforcer and how it actually like is talking about a mathematical number about how much it actually increases the behavior. Has anyone ever like thought about that in a mathematical way, or is this kind of a new analysis for you? I'm curious what you guys say in chat. Yeah, so like when you get like really deep into behavior analysis, like it's actually like a very mathematical thing. If we get into like deep philosophy of it. Cool. Yeah, Jamie, I guess I'm glad that makes sense. This would be different than a progressive ratio, for sure. Let's go over just like some simple MOs here. So in this example, we've got our MO is that our rat has not had water in 24 hours. So what this does is this will increase the value of water as a reinforcer. And when we provide the water as a reinforcer, it's actually going to result in big increases. If you've ever worked in rat lab and you've worked with a rat like for an hour and they've gotten a ton of water, they usually just stop responding because like they're not as motivated. And if you worked with a rat like who like just had a session like a couple hours ago, like kind of same deal. They're not that motivated to press the lever because they that MO is not in place. So the MO here, the water deprivation, is increasing that value of the water. Yeah, Tiffany's really into matching law. Absolutely, matching law is a very mathy thing in behavior analysis. Let's go over our common MOs. You guys are probably familiar with these. But let's see, since these are some of the easier ones, let's see if you guys can get some definitions of them. Let's talk about deprivation. So what is it, and then what does it do? Let's see. I want those two components in your definition. Let's see that in chat. Cool, yeah, so Ariana says being without something for a while. Okay, so that's what it is. What does it do? Make sure you get both those components there. What else you guys got? Cool, Jamie's saying lack of not having something in a long period of time where you want to get access to it. Okay, so I think that's, again, like kind of like what it is, but what does it do? Cool, Lynch has that other part there. Yeah, Tiffany is, I think, our first one to get a full definition here. When an organism hasn't contacted the reinforcer in a while, it increases the value of the reinforcer. Very good. So that's what we're looking for. We deprive them, or they don't contact or consume that reinforcer for a while. And the result of that is that it's going to increase the value of that reinforcer. Yeah, some really good definitions coming here. Yeah, Tapashi, there you go. Good, Julie. Yeah, Cynthia, I love it. You got both parts there. Cool. Yeah, Amy on the right track. Yeah, Amy's definition is kind of interesting, actually. Deprivation is the lack of availability of something needed or wanted. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's not available. It just means that there's not enough of it. So, like, if I, like, haven't eaten in 3 days and you hand me, like, one potato chip, like, I still have food, but it's just not enough of it. So be careful with that one. It's just like not enough. Good. Yeah, I like where we're going here. Excellent. Then we have satiation. This is going to be the opposite. So this is when we consume a lot of a reinforcer recently. This will result in decreased values of that reinforcer. So if I just ate like 3,000 calories, like I'm probably not going to want more food. So what that's going to do is it's going to decrease the value of food as a reinforcer in that moment. Let's talk about the effects of MOs. Now, there are two different effects of MOs. One of them is unique to MOs and one of them is not unique to MOs. So the value altering effect is going to be the effect that is unique to MOs. So only MOs change the value of stimuli or reinforcers and punishers. So what this does is affects how strong the reinforcer or punisher is. And that changes how much the future rate changes when those stimuli are used in the appropriate contingencies. So we have the establishing operation. This increases the value of a reinforcer or punisher. I want to note here that it is a reinforcer or a punisher. So if it's establishing operation, it's either making a reinforcer stronger or it's making a punisher stronger. So a more aversive punisher or stronger punisher that's going to decrease behavior even more when it's used in punishment. Let's go over abolishing operation. It's going to be just the opposite. So instead of increasing the values of reinforcers and punishers, this is going to decrease the value of those reinforcers and punishers. So it makes the reinforcers weaker, or it makes the punishers weaker. They're not as powerful. Now, the value altering effects can create what we call behavior altering effects. Let me get, see what you guys have in chat. How would you define a behavior altering effect? Behavior altering effect. What does that do? Tiffany says she's satiated on her avocado toast for breakfast right now. Love it. I just ate like 4 eggs right before this, so I'm pretty satiated on food right now too. Okay, yeah, I like, people are getting the right terminology here, so evocative and abative, but what do those terms mean? Yeah, Phaedra temporarily evokes or abates the behavior following it. Okay. Those are good technical terms. Anybody want to try to break that down a little bit more simply? Ooh, yeah. I like what Nikki has here. Nikki V says like brings out the behavior or decreases it. I like where you're going there. Yeah, Nicole O, I like where you're going too. Increases or decreases the current frequency of the behavior. We'll use a different term than frequency, but you're right on track there. Yeah, good. Tiffany, I like where you're going. Nice answers here. Love it. Yeah, Cecilia's got a really nice one. You can take that question mark off. She says, behavior altering effects is like you are likely to engage or not engage in a behavior in the moment. That's actually pretty much the perfect definition here. What this does is it affects the present likelihood of a behavior. So how likely a particular behavior is to occur. We have an evocative effect. This is going to increase the likelihood of a particular behavior. And abative effects are going to decrease the likelihood of a particular behavior. So let's say we have like a really strong establishing operation in place for a reinforcer. That might create an evocative effect for a behavior that results in that reinforcer. So for example, since I haven't eaten in 10 hours, then I'm going to be more likely to engage in behaviors that result in food. This could also just note too that like, just because it's an establishing operation doesn't mean it's always going to create an evocative effect. This could also create an abative effect. So let's say like I'm out camping and food is super scarce. Then that could be an establishing operation that like increases the value of food as a reinforcer, but that could also decrease the likelihood of behaviors that result in the loss of my food. So decrease kind of like the negative punishment for it, like behaviors that have been negatively punished by loss of food in the past. So I'm going to be like less risky with my food. I'm going to be like making sure that it's like really tied up like in the rain or something. I'm not going to like leave it out in the rain. I'm not going to like go throw it in the river. I'm not going to go like feed it to the bears, things like that. It's going to decrease the likelihood of behaviors that result in loss of that food as well. So note that these effects are separate from these effects, and these effects create these effects when we're talking about our motivating operations. All right, I'm going to skip these. We'll just run through these real quick, the kind of simple examples. So we have a rat has not had water in 24 hours. How does this affect water? So it could be an establishing operation where it increases the value of water. It could also create an evocative effect where behaviors that have resulted in water in the past are more likely. but it can also create an abative effect. So behaviors that have resulted in the loss of water in the past are going to be less likely. So see how this one establishing operation could create both an evocative and an abative effect depending on which behaviors that we're looking at. This one's kind of similar with our food and like increased value of food. Let's look at this one. So this one is that you have the flu. So note that this one isn't deprivation or satiation. It's a totally different MO. But when you have the flu, then food is going to become less reinforcing. It's going to serve as an abolishing operation. The value of food decreases. This could also create an abative effect. So behaviors that have resulted in food in the past are going to be less likely. Also, when I have the flu, it could create an evocative effect. So behaviors that have resulted in like comfort or alleviation of my symptoms in the past are going to be more likely as well. So we're going to see those behaviors increase due to this motivating operation. At the end of the stimulus discrimination stuff, I have some really cool examples where we'll go over or like breaking down full scenarios. So we'll label like all of the stimuli in there, including the MOs, the reinforcers, the SDs, S deltas, and all that jazz. We have a question here. Would this be a CMOS for the alleviation of the flu symptoms? No, I would say that's like, it's just an aversive stimulus. So it's just a classical MO. There's no, I don't think it's really a condition motivating operation. All right, let's go into stimulus discrimination real quick. We might have to stop because Nicole is going to hop on here in about 6 minutes or so. So we might not finish it all, but let's get into some of the terminology at least. Easy way to think about stimulus discrimination is thinking about how do we know something will happen. So this is essentially like how an organism knows something is going to happen before it happens. All right. Actually, one more thing I did want to note here is that we're going to have Nicole coming on in about 5 minutes for our stream. If you also want to come on the stream today, we do still have 2 more slots available on the shop. So at 3 p.m. Eastern and 3:20 p.m. Eastern, you can come hop on Zoom with me. It's not too late to sign up. So if you want to... yeah, if you want to sign up for that, I just dropped the link for that in the chat as well. Okay, so with the stimulus discrimination, we have a lot of different terminology to nail down. So let's start with there, and then I think we'll let Nicole in after we go through our terminology. So first of all, we want to look at our different stimuli. So we have an SD. Who wants to give me the SD definition right now, or like their best definition for SD? Yeah, the one out, the tutoring for the live stream right now. So one person is going to come on at a time. So you'll get 15 to 20 minutes one-on-one time with me. If you sign up for this, again, it's not too late. I'll send you the Zoom link while we're rolling here, and you can come on live stream and ask me whatever you want. It's your time. All right, cool. I'm liking the definitions coming in here. Cecilia looks great. Tiffany, good. Okay, cool. So a lot of people are telling me like what this thing does, but what is it? Is it a behavior or a stimulus? Cool. Yes, Cindy, I like that. You got all the components there. Good, 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 good. All right, let's check this out. So it signals, the SD is a stimulus that signals that reinforcement or punishment is available for a particular response. So like for example, like when there is water in my water bottle, I can feel the weight of its heaviness. That signals that if I drink from this, that I'm gonna get some water in my mouth. So the water in the water bottle is the SD. And that affects the behavior of me drinking, and it's reinforced by water in my mouth and water in my body. Let's look at S delta. Sometimes you'll see it marked as like S triangles. Usually that's going to be superscripted there. But here is the definition. It's a stimulus that signals that reinforcement or punishment is not available for a particular response. So pretty straightforward. When we have the one side of the definition, we can get the other. These two definitions are exactly the same, except SD is showing is available. S delta is showing that's not available. Our next term, yeah, Kira, that was perfect. Our next term here is discrimination training. Tougher term here. Anybody want to give it a go? What is discrimination training? If you nail this one, you're going to get like 20 cool points from Nick. Who wants to go for this? What is discrimination training? I think Stacy was very brave here. Our first person getting the definition. Learning when and when not something is available. Okay. What does that process involve? Serena, that's actually going to be a different term. BCBA one day, yeah, need to brush up on your SAF meds. I'm a huge proponent of flashcards. Like, if you're wondering like why I'm so good with my definitions, when I was 19 years old, I had a huge stack of flashcards and I memorized them all word for word. And now I can just spit out these definitions 12 years later, like it's nothing. So it's definitely worth the investment to spend some time with your flashcards. I highly recommend it. Ooh, I like where Jamie's going. She has teaching that a particular SD has to be available in order to receive reinforcement. Right on the right track there. Phaedra, that's going to be a different term that we'll talk about. All right. Let's check this one out. So our definition is reinforcing or punishing a response in the presence of the SD. So remember, this is like our process. This is our training procedure. And not reinforcing or punishing that response, or not punishing that response in the presence of an S delta. So kind of makes sense. Like when this stimulus is present, the behavior gets reinforced. So like when there's water in this water bottle, my drinking behavior gets reinforced. And when there's no liquid in the cup, then the drinking behavior does not get reinforced. So this is our training process. And a lot of people were jumping to what this results in. And this is a really important term, stimulus discrimination. This is also an AKA for the term stimulus control. So if you ever see those two terms, they mean exactly the same thing. And our definition is that a behavior occurs more frequently in the presence of one stimulus than another stimulus due to discrimination training. So the discrimination training is that I get reinforcement when I drink from this one and not from this one because there's liquid in here and no liquid in here. Stimulus discrimination is that I'm only going to drink out of cups with liquid in them. So if you want to, so yeah, the discrimination is the result. So I only drink out of this when there is liquid in it, and I don't drink out of this when there is no liquid in it. That's our SDS delta. Oh yeah, last thing, if you want to get the notes from today's session, I will put a lot of the slides from the PowerPoints in there as well today. You can purchase those on the shop for just $5, but it looks like they're sold out, so I'm going to go finish that now. And while we're doing that, we're going to let Nicole in the Zoom, and we're going to get going with her. All right. How's it going, Nicole?
Hi, good. How are you?
How's it going, Nicole?
Hello,
Good.
How are you?
How's it going, Nicole? Good. Yeah, if you could mute the stream on yours or just close out of it, that would be awesome.
There we go.
Perfect. Let me get you on here as well. How's your day going so far, though?
Good. How about yours?
It's been great. Excited to be here. Ready for
Me
some
too.
nerding out.
Me too.
Cool, cool. Well, what would you like to discuss for today? What did you have in
Um,
mind?
so I had verbal behavior and specifically autoclitics and
Ooh.
going into autoclitics and kind of differentiating them from introverbals.
Ooh, yeah, that's tricky stuff for sure. Yeah, we could probably breeze through that fairly quickly. Do you have anything else that you want to review?
Yeah, and then the differences or like definitions with extinction burst, resurgence, and spontaneous recovery and the differences between those.
Yeah, I love
Um,
it.
and then also, I was kind of unclear with how fixed time, variable time, and if that was like, and non-contingent reinforcement and determining the differences between those, or if NCR is part of fixed time and variable time. I'm just not very clear on those.
Yeah, for sure. I would say like that's definitely like a more finer discrimination, but we'll certainly go over it. All right, cool. Ready for autoclitics?
Yes.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, yeah, autoclitics are weird. I don't think these are gonna be on your exam. Like, you're at most gonna see one question on them on your exam, but it is kind of a cool topic. So, yeah, like, are you familiar with these at all, or like what these do?
No, not really.
Gotcha. Yeah, like, it's super confusing, so don't blame you at all. An autoclitic is essentially like a verbal operant that alters the function of another verbal operant. I would say like the function or strength of another verbal operant slightly. uh, so let's say let's look at like two different statements. The first one is that the sky is blue. Cool. So what do you think? What operant do you think that would be?
Um, would that be attacked?
Yeah, probably attacked. Like you see the sky and you're like the sky is blue. Now let's look at a different statement. It says, I think the sky is blue. um,
Would
now
that be an
this,
autoclitic more?
yeah. So this is essentially attacked that includes an autoclitic.
Okay.
Um, So what this does is that the phrase "I think" alters how strong of a statement the tact is. So when I say like this, like the sky is blue, it's a very definitive thing. Whereas if I say I think the sky is blue, it's still a tact, but it's a weaker tact. So the I think is the autoclitic that weakened the tact there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's look at another example. So yeah, essentially like anything that where it just like alters how strong the verbal operant is in one form.
Okay.
So like I could look at like I want ice cream versus like I will die if I do not receive ice cream.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense now. And
Yep,
then
yep, yep.
can it be used, can autoclitics be used in each verbal operant?
Yeah, I don't think there's really a limit to like which verbal operants it can extend to. It's we just have to look at it like altering like how strong of an operant that is.
Okay. Okay.
Cool, cool, cool. So you'll never really see like an autoclitic on its own, whereas you see like a statement like that's purely an autoclitic. Like that doesn't really exist. It's always like altering how strong another verbal operant is.
Okay. Okay. Light bulb. Thank you.
For sure, for sure. Awesome. Love to see it. Any questions on those?
No, no. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, yeah, these would both be mans on here. But this would just be like a man with an autoclitic as well.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, good stuff there. All right, ready for some extinction side effects?
Yes.
All right. Are you familiar with any of these? You start with the burst. What's that all about?
I'm not seeing.
Oh, sorry. Let me share my screen over for you so you can see in real time. Sorry, that's gonna work better.
Okay, there we go.
We'll get you back in frame on the stream. And cool. Okay, so yeah, we'll start with extinction bursts. What are those all about?
Is that when you have a behavior or a behavior has been on extinction and then over time it reappears
That
higher in intensity and maybe magnitude?
Yeah, on the right track. On the right track. So those are the two effects. Does this tend to happen at the beginning of extinction or later on in the process?
Later on?
So this is actually going to occur at the beginning of extinction.
Okay.
So this is going to be a sharp increase in either or both the frequency, or we'll say the rate and magnitude of behavior. And then we'll highlight here that occurs immediately, or we'll say like shortly after extinction is initially implemented.
Okay.
So we can also draw these on like an extinction graph. So we'll do that here. Let's say we kind of have like a behavior that's occurring at like moderately high rate. We'll throw a phase change line here. So this will kind of just be our baseline, and then we'll make this extinction.
Okay.
So what we'll see here is that this is going to very sharply increase right at the start.
Okay.
So this is our burst. Now, if we are successful with implementing extinction after the burst, what would we expect to happen?
It's a plateau, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, so we continue extinction. We're not reinforcing the behavior at all. We're
Decrease.
past the burst. What do you think is going to happen after the burst?
The behavior will decrease
Good. Is it going to decrease slowly or quickly?
quickly.
Yeah, good. It's gonna be a very sharp decrease in the behavior. So this is if we're very consistent with our extinction implementation. We should see that behavior die because they've kind of learned, hey, this behavior is not giving us any reinforcement, so they're not going to engage in the behavior anymore.
Okay. Okay.
Cool, cool, cool.
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about spontaneous recovery next. Do you want to take a stab at this term?
Um, is it after, so like maybe after the extinction burst occurs, the behavior goes down, and then after a time later on, it, or it, I'm not 100%
That's
sure.
okay. No, you're on the right track at least. So it does happen later in the extinction process. So we'll say a previously extinguished behavior returns for no apparent reason. So let's draw like how spontaneous recovery could potentially happen on our graph. So we had our extinction burst, behavior sharply increased, then it sharply decreased because we were really good at extinction, didn't contact reinforcement at all. Spontaneous recovery is not a triggered event, so that word spontaneous just kind of means like it happens randomly or for no good reason. And we can see the behavior come back just a little bit. And if it doesn't contact reinforcement here, then it should probably die again. But sometimes like what happens is that we'll see spontaneous recovery and then it gets reinforced here, and then the behavior might increase a little bit. And then like it kind of just depends on how well we do extinction after the fact. But if we are continuing with extinction, spontaneous recovery is a pretty normal thing to happen. And if we continue that, it should die back again.
Okay.
Another like really good tip that I like for these terms is that if you're like having trouble recalling them, sometimes it's helpful to just like translate them into plain English. So think about that word spontaneous. Like it just means like random, like all of a sudden. Recovery means like an increase in behavior. So kind of put those two terms together and we can kind of at least like get a decent grasp of what the definition is. Extinction burst. So it's like when we implement an extinction, we see a burst in that behavior. So sometimes just like the plain English connections can really help here too.
Yeah, that is really helpful.
Sweet. So yeah, spontaneous recovery happening for no apparent reason. The behavior just comes back. And then we have resurgence. So a nice way to contrast spontaneous recovery and resurgence, if you're getting these mixed up, is to look at them, look at if it's a triggered or a not triggered thing. So if it's not triggered, it's going to be spontaneous recovery. Resurgence is a triggered event. Do you know what event triggers resurgence?
Um, but getting it somehow being reinforced.
Close, 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 close. So resurgence is when we have when we replace an extinguished behavior with a functional alternative, and now the functional alternative is on extinction. The original extinguished behavior returns. So let's give a quick example here. Let's say like instead of like shouting out in class, we taught them to raise their hand. We taught a student to raise their hand. Now, let's say like there's a substitute teacher who's just like not calling on that student, even though they are raising their hand. So essentially that behavior is not getting reinforced anymore. What we'll see is that the shouting is going to increase very rapidly.
Okay.
So if we were to see this on our graph, we would have to put in another phase change line since this is a very triggered event. So our phase change line here would be that our replacement behavior is no longer reinforced. And what is going to happen is that we're going to see very sharp increases and probably stabilization of our problem behavior. So probably something like that. Cool. Yeah, a lot of people in chat got some great definitions there too. Cynthia and Mione looks great. So yeah, just to kind of recap all of these, bursts happen right when extinction is implemented. We can see increases in rate and magnitude of that behavior. Spontaneous recovery is just going to happen later on in extinction. There's no clear trigger for it. It's just going to kind of come back for no reason. Resurgence has a very clear trigger. So this is when we teach a replacement behavior. That replacement behavior is not getting reinforced. And what that causes is that for that original extinguished behavior to come back.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Good stuff there. Any other questions on those?
No, that's very clear. Thank you.
Sweet, love it. So yeah, somebody in chat's asking about resistance to extinction. Resistance to extinction is not something that can be shown on a graph very easily, but that's essentially where the behavior is persisting even though it's on extinction. So I guess if we were to show it, like we would see like moderate rate and baseline. Resistance to extinction would be like after the burst, like the behavior is like still occurring a little bit. But it's not always going to be shown up that clearly, and there could be other explanations for that as well. All right, ready for our fixed time ones?
Yes.
Sweet. All right, so what is the difference between fixed versus variable time?
Fixed time is when there's a set amount of time, and then variable is when there's like an average
Cool.
amount of time.
Cool. And what is happening after these average or set amounts of time?
I believe the behavior is getting reinforced, or it's like a, or is
Close.
it like a non, if the client is engaging in the target behavior, it's being reinforced. No.
Not quite, not quite. So this is that the reinforcer is going to be delivered, but it's not contingent on the behavior. So, let's break down that term, like non-contingent reinforcement. And actually, this is like a bad phrase for the term. And it is the technical and it's the right one, but it's just not a good phrase. Because it's not really reinforcement. This is non-contingent delivery of reinforcers. So reinforcers are delivered after a period of time, regardless of what behavior is occurring. So again, it's not reinforcement because it's not a relation between the behavior and the consequence. It's a relation between time and a reinforcer.
Okay.
So in our fixed time, this is going to be that a reinforcer is delivered after a set amount of time. So like, for example, like provide a compliment to your client every 1 minute. And then for our variable time, this would be a reinforcer is delivered after an average amount of time. So this would be like provide a compliment to your client after about every 1 minute. So this might be after like 30 seconds, it might be after 90 seconds, it might be after a minute, but it's all going to average out to a minute after all of our deliveries.
Okay. So are these part of non-contingent reinforcement?
Yep. Yeah. So
Okay.
these, so the way to think about it is like this, the schedules, are like the basic principles that utilize
Okay.
NCR procedure. So, like in an NCR procedure, you might also have like some like weird rules around it too. So it might be like, if our target behavior hasn't occurred for 20 seconds, or like if it hasn't occurred within like 5 seconds and like it's the time to deliver, then we'll deliver, for example.
Okay.
So like the NCR is like a more formalized procedure that can work with these a little bit more, but these schedules in themselves are like, this is how they work. So like every 1 minute they're getting attention, about every 1 minute they get attention in this one.
Okay. Okay.
Sweet, sweet, sweet.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, sweet, that was super fun. We got through just in time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure. Take care, and hope to see you in the rest of the Bonanza.
Yes, thank you.
For sure. Laters.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Kanan is not here yet in the Zoom call, but hopefully she will be here soon. Looks like our slots have sold out, so thank you so much for Wesley and Serena for signing up for those remaining slots. Excited to have y'all on stream. We're gonna get Wesley here at 3 p.m. And then we'll get Serena at 3:20. Looks like Canyon is here now. So we'll go let her in. I'll send you guys those Zoom links before we get started. Don't worry. All right, let's get Canyon in here. Hey, Canyon, how's it going?
Good. Did it work?
I think so. I think we're groovy.
Awesome.
Yeah, let me get you set up in frame here. All right. Yeah, we are grooving. How's it going?
Good.
Sweet. Having fun so far?
Yes.
Good, good, good.
I'm learning things I didn't even know I needed to learn, so that's exciting.
Yeah, that's what I love about like these bonanzas, that we can get like real deep into the nitty gritties of everything. So yeah, I'm so glad you signed up, and let's get into this. So yeah, parametric component and comparative analysis. So you said like getting the differences between them and seeing them in graphs and questions. So yeah, having like what are you familiar with, like what has been tripping you up on these, or you just kind of want to like start from the beginning of them?
Well, okay, so this is something I was actually really confident about until especially in graphs, because in a supervision meeting and then one of your mini mocks, I totally missed it and didn't even understand why. So I understand the definitions of each one, or at least think I do.
Cool.
But it's just a matter of like recognizing them in the graphs.
Yeah.
Especially.
That sounds good. Well, how about we just go ahead and draw some graphs and kind of like what these are gonna look like. Any particular one you want to start off with?
It's mainly like component and comparative analysis that I get the most tripped up.
Gotcha. With. Okay, so component and comparative. Let's go through component. Can you give me a quick definition for a component analysis?
So component analysis is when I'm trying to like drop different components, basically different parts of the treatment plan to see which ones work the best of the package.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so we have a treatment package that's already in place, and then we're looking at like analysis of which components in a treatment package are most necessary to change behavior. So yeah, we can either do this in two different ways. So you mentioned like we can do like the dropout analysis. That's where we're going to like remove one component and see the effects. Or we can do the add-in analysis as well. So this is when we add in a component and see that's new effects. So let's go through a graph real quick. Let's say we are doing a treatment package. Let's say we're working with, we have a DRO plus NCR plus an antecedent intervention plus FCT for hitting behavior. And let's say like the hitting was really bad at first, and we're just like, yeah, we're just gonna throw the whole book at it and like try to get this behavior down. So we'll just do everything at once. So our treatment package contains all four of those components. In our baseline, we'll still just say like the behavior is really bad. Let's move this over here. Okay, so baseline, our behavior is like super duper high and ascending. And then our B condition is we're going to throw this whole package into place. So let's just copy this here. We're doing this whole package right here. So let's say like we're really good behavior analysts. So like this behavior just dropped to 0 immediately because we're just awesome. And then we're like, yo, like this grade is down to 0, but like this is a lot of work. Like we're doing a lot of things right now. And also like to think about treatment packages and each intervention, like think about each intervention as a restriction on your client. So what we want to do is remove restrictions. We want to get like our behavior change effects to maintain without all these restrictions and supports in place, or at least like as few as necessary. So if we're doing our dropout analysis, what do you think would be a good one to drop out here?
NCR.
Yeah, good. So for our C condition, it might be like the same exact thing, except we're not going to include the NCR component. So let's say like, yeah, the NCR wasn't really that necessary. It wasn't really doing a whole lot. So behavior still maintaining at 0. What would we do after this? Would we want to add the NCR back in, or would we want to try to remove a different component?
Remove a different component.
Good. And which one do you think would be best to remove at this point?
DRO.
Good. So yeah, we'll take out our DRO. Now we'll just test out. We'll do our antecedent intervention plus the FCT for hitting. And let's say like we actually see like some increases here, which is like some slight increases, something like that. What do you think we would do here next if we saw behavior kind of like this?
Reintroduce DRO.
Good. So yeah, we would probably reintroduce our DRO. So we'd go back to our C condition and have all three of those components back in, just kind of like reestablish our baseline with this. So like think about like when we're removing one of our components of our intervention, we're kind of like creating like a new baseline. So like first was like, okay, with our full package, we're totally groovy. Without this one package or without that one piece of it, we're still really groovy, and that's kind of like setting like our new standard. So we try removing a different element, wasn't as groovy, but now we go back and we want to kind of like reestablish that as like our new baseline. Yeah, people in chat are asking what we're going over. We're talking about component analyses right now. So right now, we would likely get our behavior back to 0. And then we could probably try, depending on like what the antecedent intervention is, we might try removing that as well. So we would label this as our phase E because it's a totally different combination than our previous one. So this would be our DRO plus FCT. And then we would look at like how well this maintains the behavior decrease. So if it's really good, if it remains down, then we probably don't need that antecedent intervention. If we do, then we would need it. Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sweet. So yeah, that's how you'd see it on graphs. It's usually, especially with the withdrawal, you're going to see this in our different phases and then just see like the different combinations. And note that like each different combination is going to be like a different treatment package, and we'd have to compare the effects to the other treatment packages.
Okay, and for component analysis, will there ever be a multi-element graph used for it, like to where the different components are? I guess that might be the difference between that and a comparative the comparative analysis, right?
Yeah, so yeah, we could do this in a multi-element as well. So we could have like our triangles be like our full package.
Okay.
And then like our squares be a different package.
Okay, but if it's a component package, it'll always have like those different things together in those squares and triangles, right? Like it'll note that. Does that make sense?
It should. Yeah, it should note those, especially like if they're trying to analyze like the different components.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I'm seeing like where your question is lying now. So you're kind of asking like, how would I know if it's like a comparative analysis versus a component analysis if it's like, let's say we just did like the same thing but without the DRO here?
Yeah.
I would say that this would probably be both.
Okay.
And I guess it really depends like what the end outcome that you're looking for is. So like, are we trying to like fade out this treatment package, or are we just trying to see like which treatment package is more effective?
That makes sense. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, I can totally see where that gets really confusing. So component analysis, we'll put it in like the main section of notes here. So this would be like used to figure out which components of a treatment package are necessary.
Yeah.
And then a comparative analysis would be to compare like which intervention is more effective.
Okay, yeah.
Or is this intervention effective compared to baseline?
Okay.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does that help? Did you want to go over anything else with this topic?
No, I don't. I think that helped a lot. It makes more sense now. Thanks.
Excellent. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Arbitrary matching. This is a term that is kind of weird. So essentially, like, it's like any kind of matching that is not identical matching. So this is basically like matching like characteristics, like stimuli together that are a little bit more abstract.
Mm-hmm.
So like for example, like if I like gave you a jar of peanut butter and then I gave you a car, a bath towel, and bread, like which one would you match to?
Peanut butter, bath towel, and bread. The peanut butter and the bread would match together.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, like those things are like very different to each other. They relate in like a more abstract way, where it's like, oh, I put peanut butter on bread, but I don't really put peanut butter on bath towels and cars.
Okay, that makes sense.
So even though like those are not the same thing, they have like some kind of meaningful relationship. And like most of the matching that we're teaching is going to be arbitrary matching, like after like our early learner stage. Yeah, people are asking like, is this like matching? Is this like feature function class? So yeah, like those stimuli or like those like relationships would be more arbitrary matching, rather than like identical matching. So like I would match a car to a bicycle because they're both vehicles that can get you places, rather than like match a car to a fairy witch. I don't know. It's Halloween. So yeah, lots of different kinds of arbitrary matching. Anywhere else did you wanted to go in particular on these?
No, I think I just needed to like see it typed out and like put together, and because like you also see arbitrary as a word in general describing like other things too, not just with matching. And so I think I just needed to understand that like arbitrary just means non-identical, like different, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. I think that's like the easiest way to categorize it's any matching that's not identical matching.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. All right. Train loosely, multiple exemplar instruction, and general case analysis. So yeah, these are good ones. Let's start with multiple exemplar instruction. What's that all about?
Okay, so I always get them confused. Multiple exemplar is when you introduce like real life examples, but in the trained setting.
Not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the trained setting.
Oh, okay.
But yes, so yeah, it's like teaching like multiple relevant examples of a behavior or stimuli to engage in a particular behavior with. So, for example, like if I wanted to teach, if we're like teaching the response class, or sorry, like the stimulus class of cat, I might include like orange cats, black cats, orange cats, black cats, cartoon cats, tigers, cats hunting, like that's still a cat even though it's like on the prowl right now, and things like that. So just like different examples of that. And then it could also be like different ways to call a cat a cat.
Okay.
So you could call it with like a cat, or you can call it a kitty cat, or you can call it a kitty. and pretty much everybody like knows what you're talking about. Like these have like slightly different functions. Like usually if somebody says like kitty, like it's more of a baby cat, but I mean if it's just cute, like kitty's usually pretty appropriate too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this could either be like teaching across the stimulus class or the response class.
Okay.
That's one thing to highlight there. Training loosely. So the main thing I want you to highlight here for multiple exemplar instruction is that we're doing multiple relevant examples. Where in training loosely, we're teaching responses while varying up some of the less relevant stimuli to the behavior and interactions. So, and like more or less relevant is gonna be very like individualized. So like for example, let's say like we're teaching somebody to like find or like to like check out there at the grocery store. What do you think would be like some of the less relevant stimuli associated with that behavior?
Oh gosh.
So like things that like don't really matter. I'll give you a first one. Might be like if like the individual's wearing a hat or not, or if the cashier's wearing a hat or not.
Okay.
What else could we vary up within that training process?
If it's, I don't know if this would be, I think this might be actually more relevant, but whether it's like it still has a belt, but whether there's a cashier or it's self-checkout.
Oh yeah.
That might be.
Yeah, I think that would probably fall more under like our multiple exemplar instruction.
Okay.
That'd be like different ways you can check out. It's like you can either go in the line or you can use the self-checkout. So I think that would probably be more on the more relevant side.
Okay.
People in chat have some good good ones here. So like depending on like the cashier's name, doesn't really matter. Glasses versus no glasses. Yeah, like their name tag, hair up or down. Like uniform or no uniform. Things like that. And again, like depending on the individual, like some of these could be more relevant than others. We just want to make sure it's not like directly relevant to the skill.
That makes more sense. And see, I keep wanting to just kind of mesh them together. Obviously.
Yeah. So really easy way to differentiate these two. Multiple exemplar is going to be like the relevant things. Training loosely is going to be varying up the less relevant things.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And general case analysis. This, I think about this is not really like a strategy, but more of like a pre-planning process.
Okay.
And what you essentially like want to do here is you look at like all the things that may be relevant to teaching generalization for a particular skill and client.
Okay.
So like, what are the multiple exemplars that we need to teach? Like, are like there are these training loosely variables that we need to consider? How are we going to transfer this to the natural environment? How how are we going to maintain it in the natural environment and things like that?
Okay.
So yeah, like how are we going to maintain the behavior? What examples are we going to teach? Et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, cool. We did pretty well on time here too. We're killing it today. Any other quick thoughts before I let you off?
No, that was awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet, Canyon. It was a pleasure. Thanks so much for signing up and coming on, and we'll see you in chat.
Yes.
Sweet. All right. Well, Yeah, here we are in chat. We've got George's time is coming up next. Georgia did not want to come on stream today, which is totally cool. I have to go pee really bad, so I think it's a perfect time for a giveaway. So you guys can put in your numbers while I go pee. But we're gonna give away an ultimate mock bundle, right? Meow. This includes both the mini mocks for mastery and the beat the beast. If you already have one or more of, or sorry, if you have one of these components already, you are welcome to participate. So if you already have the mini mocks, you'll win the beat the beast. If you already have the beat the beast, you'll win the mini mocks. If you don't have either, you'll win both by participating in this. So how about we get we'll do 1 through 666 is our drawing today. So give me one number 1 through 666. And whoever is our winner is going to win the full mock bundle or whatever components that they need. All right, I'm gonna go pee. I'll be right back. All right, sweet. We got a lot of numbers in here. Yeah, dang, there's a lot of numbers. Okay, sweet. Well, thank you all for so much for participating. We'll make Camille Downs our last entrant here. Here is our number 541. Who is it? Nicole 578. Ooh, Sarah 534. That's pretty close. Anybody closer? Who do you guys see? Oh wait, Vanessa 543. Ooh, that is really close. Vanessa, I don't think anybody's closer than 2. Ooh, I think we're gonna give it to Vanessa. Congratulations. All right, congratulations, Vanessa. Yeah, you just won the full ultimate mock bundle. To claim it, just send me an email at understandingbehaviorofficial@gmail.com and to claim your prize. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna send some Zoom links out for Wesley and Serena real quick, Serena, just so they have those ready to go. But yeah, super awesome stuff. All right. Well, there's Wesley. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Are you guys having fun? I'm having a lot of fun. I feel like this has been a good one. All right. Let's get Serena, her link. Okay. So yeah, the giveaway, we'll do at least one more giveaway here, so stay tuned for that, for the ultimate mock bundle. And again, that comes with the Beat the Beast mock and the mini mocks for mastery. Okay. Well, let's get into Georgia's stuff. So she had SDs and MOs here as well, so we'll let's get through her other 2 because I think those will be fairly fast, and then we'll go back to our SD stuff in a sec. All right, Georgia's here, ready to go. She's not here in the Zoom call, but she is here on chat live, so feel free to ask me any questions that you want during this time, Georgia. We're going to talk about extraneous versus confounding variables first. So let's go over these extraneous variables. These are variables within an experiment that are not controlled for very well. So Well, this is definitely the broader term. This extraneous refers to all the variables that we're not able to control. And when you think about an experiment, like it's impossible to have 100% perfect experiment because like we're always changing. We're always evolving. Like Nick from the beginning of this stream is different from Nick at this very moment. So like, how do we even control for that? It's like I've literally changed as a person within the last 45 or no hour or so that we've been on this stream. So we can't control for everything, but that's okay. We can control for the things that are most relevant. So extraneous variables are going to be all of these things that we cannot control for that may or may not affect the experiment. So we'll say like all of the things that we cannot control for that may or may not affect the results of our experiment. Or I would say like the results and implementation of our experiment. So that's our extraneous variables. Again, the extraneous is going to be our broader term. Now let's look at confounding variables. These are variables that directly affect the implementation of either the IV or the DV. Of the IV and likely affect the DV. So let's look at let's look at a quick example. So let's say like an extraneous variable might be that like we had to run the experiment in different rooms across our experimental sessions. So that's something that's different between all of our sessions. It may or may not impact the behavior, but we know that it is something different. We know it's something that we didn't control for, so we have to kind of account for it, or at least like mention that this happened. We would know like this may or may not be confounding. So let's say like we're working on like a listening activity. So let's say like the experiment is on like listener, like how well like listener responding occurs. And let's say like the one of the rooms that experiments were run in is very loud and difficult to concentrate. Now, this would be both an extraneous variable and a confounding variable because it does affect our independent, or the implementation of our independent variable, and it affects the dependent variable, or is likely to affect the dependent variable. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to organize this better. Our experiment is like how well listener responding occurs. One of the rooms is very loud and difficult to concentrate in. This directly affects how easy it is to engage in the dependent variable. So we know this is confounding. Cool. Yeah, let me just catch up on chat real quick. George is asking, can you think of it as an extraneous affects IV and DV, but the confounding affects the DV only? No, I would say that is inaccurate. An extraneous variable would affect the IV, or can affect, or sorry, confounding variables always affect the IV and the DV. Extraneous variables, they are present. There are stimuli that are present or differences that are present, but they may or may not have effects. So if we know that they have effects, or if they're very likely to have effects, like in this situation, like if it's really loud and we're looking at listener responding, then this is very likely to affect and decrease performance. So we would say that that variable is confounding. But let's say like both of the rooms were equally quiet and they're like the same size and like didn't really make much difference. Like there's no other thing like that would like tell us that there was a big difference between the two different settings, then those would be extraneous variables, but not necessarily confounding. Yolana's asking, like, is this like medication or sleep patterns? So again, it would depend on like what the medication is. So like medication, like if there's a medication change, usually that's going to be a confounding variable, just depending on like what the behavior is. But I think we need to look at that a little bit more thoroughly. Extraneous variables, they're all over the place. Not all of them can be controlled. Not all of them have to be controlled. Like we really want to focus on like getting for sure getting as many of the confounding variables controlled as we can. The extraneous variables, like I said, there's some that are literally going to be impossible to control, but we'll do the best that we can. So just kind of recap, extraneous variables are all of the things within an experiment that are not controlled. Confounding variables are the ones that directly affect the IV and the DV, and we know how those outcomes. And these are going to be the more problematic ones. These are not always necessarily problematic. But we would say, just to kind of like recap some things, so like quick recap, all confounding variables are extraneous variables. Not all extraneous variables need to be controlled. Confounding variables are known or very likely to affect either the IV or the DV. And yeah, I think that kind of like gets you like the main points that you need there. Awesome, George. I'm glad it's sticking well. Let me see in chat. Tiffany's asking, staffing is an extraneous but may not affect the DV, but affects the IV, so that if it does affect the IV, therefore affecting the DV, wouldn't staffing then become a confounding variable? So yeah, if like two different staff are like doing things slightly differently, or let's say like even like your client responds really well to one staff member and not as well to another staff member, then that would become a confounding variable. Like if the two different staff members have like both really good implementations, so like you've done procedural integrity checks, they're pretty consistent at about like 95% plus, like the individual doesn't seem to have a preference for either one, or like there doesn't seem much difference in performance in either one, then that would be an extraneous variable, but probably not a confounding variable. So yeah, definitely need to look at the situation. Yeah, Cynthia's asking if these are threats to internal validity or external validity. These are threats to internal validity. It could be external validity as well, but definitely internal validity. The external validity relation would be a little bit more abstract, for sure. Okie dokie. Let's get into FA data analysis. So yeah, here, like, main thing I want to point out for our FA data analysis is you want to compare the level of all the conditions to the player control condition. So remember in our play condition, it's our control condition because there are AOs set up for all our social functions. So essentially, like if the behavior is attention, escape, or tangible maintained, it probably will not occur in the control condition. So when we're doing our data analysis, we want to compare all of our conditions to, or the level of all the conditions to the level of the play condition. So we'll say, like each test condition that is contrasted, that is, like has contrast in level with the play condition, will be said to be a function. So, like, for example, if I have play as 0, attention is 10, and then escape is 0 as well, then we have attention maintain behavior. If I have, here, we'll do it like this. So we have example 1. If I have, play is 0, attention is 10, and then escape is also 10, then we would say the behavior has dual function, both escape and attention. For if this was weaker, so let's say like attention was 10, or we would say like escape is 5, this would still be a dual function. So attention 10, escape 5. This would be like primary function of escape, or sorry, of attention, secondary function of escape. We can see that because it's weaker. It doesn't mean that the escape function isn't there, even though it's only 5. What we want to do, again, is we want to compare the 5 to the 0, not the 5 to the 10. So comparing the 5 to the 0, it shows that, yep, there still is an escape function. It's reinforced when we provide escape for it. So, so we're all groovy there. Another example, so... let's say we have play is 4, attention is 4, and then escape is 5. This would be I'm representing frequencies here. This would be a automatic function. Automatic functions are most commonly seen when the behavior is occurring within all conditions, especially the play condition. So remember, with play, we're controlling for all of our social functions. So if it's attention, escape, or tangible, then we shouldn't see any behavior occur in the play condition. So if we do see behavior occur in the play condition, that's one of the best indicators that we have automatic reinforcement, is the function. And what you want to look at as well is if the behavior is occurring in the rest of the conditions. I want to look at one more example here. Let's do for this one, we'll include an ignore condition. So this one is going to be, let's say play. Let's say we see data like this. So only the ignore condition is contrasted. This does not necessarily mean an automatic function. So essentially what this means is that all this means is that if the client has nothing to do, they'll engage in the behavior. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's like a strong reinforcement for the behavior. So again, a way better indicator of automatic function is going to see seeing the behavior in all the situations. Right now, I would say that this is an inconclusive data set. So we aren't really sure if this is if this is automatically reinforced or not. What we might do here is is we like might like alter our conditions a little bit to better evoke the behavior. We might also do something called an extended alone condition, which would be like a 30-minute alone condition. And what we want to do there is like see like over time, like does the behavior drop off? So like if they're bored for like really long time, like does the behavior still occur towards the end? If it doesn't, then we have ruled out automatic function. It's not going to be an automatically reinforced behavior. And if behavior just never occurs at all, then it seems like you solved your problem without an intervention. So that would be pretty neato. All right. We are waiting for Wesley to hop in the stream soon. So if you're in here watching, check your email because I sent you a link. But yeah, awesome. I also wanted to point out, a lot of people are asking about if you're going to get the notes from this session. The notes are available for purchase on the shop as well. So check out the Behavior Binge Bonanza notes. They're just $5. So I'll compile all these for y'all either tonight or tomorrow morning and send them to you. You'll get all the graphs. You'll get some of the slides that we reviewed as well. All for just $5. This video is going to be on YouTube, so you can watch it whenever. The notes for purchase will be the notes in a document that you can check out at your leisure. All right, I think we got Wesley here, but I don't see him.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm good. Do I have to be on camera? I've been really sick.
No, it's totally fine. If you're camera shy, not a problem.
I might be coughing up a little bit, but I'm sorry about that.
No, not a problem. Don't worry about it.
So I have 3 topics. Hopefully we could get through them. Piggybacking on FAs. I do have a few questions about like test questions about FAs.
Yeah.
And are there any? Have you ever come across like any questions that will basically give you a scenario and say what FA does this represent, or which FA would be best suited for like high rates of SIB? Have you ever come across those questions at all? And if so, what is the best way to tackle those questions?
Yeah, so like FA types like for like particular behaviors. Honestly I don't think you're gonna get a whole lot of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get a whole lot of questions on like choosing the type of FA for a situation. I'd say like those like it kind of takes like a little bit more expertise with them, and for FAs in general, like, I don't think a green BCBA like fresh off the test is really ready to do an FA on their own. Usually you need a lot of guidance from experienced individuals to be able to do those well. So I don't think they're gonna really test you on this. But and also FAs like aren't always going to be necessary. I guess like for like more a general rule would be like more severe behavior, you want to do a shorter assessment. So definitely like lean towards like the brief FAs. I'm unclear. Like I don't think on the 5th edition they're really gonna like test you at all about the practical FA. There's a chance that they could on the 6th edition. But I really don't think that the 5th edition is going to pull that on you at all. And this would be like a lot of people do this like instead of like a traditional FBA process. And usually this is going to be for more like less severe behavior overall.
Okay.
I guess like one other way they might try to get you would be like the setting that you're doing it in. So I would say like if you're a school setting, or a highly verbal client, you're just never going to do a traditional FA.
Okay.
Because these settings just aren't really made for it. Highly verbal clients like kind of can get interesting. Like like I was a BCBA where working at a center where another BCBA was doing an FA with a really verbal client. And literally, like, the client just, like, stopped during it, and he was just like, what are you doing? and, totally skews the results. Like, the contingencies are just not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing because, like, he had some rule governance where just like, no, this is weird. Like, this is not normal. And it just, like, totally skews the results of everything. So, so yeah, hopefully that's helpful as like some looser rules, but as far as like getting like very specific with which type, like given a description of the behavior, I really don't think they're going to ask you questions about that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that because I'm kind of like, well, they could ask anything really.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, hopefully these rules are helpful. I think they'll cover most of like the situations that they could possibly give you. So like more severe, make it a shorter assessment. A lot of people use like that practical FA for in total replacement of the traditional FBA process. And then think about like the setting, like if it's appropriate for an FA at all. And usually it's not going to be.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that. My second topic is stimulus equivalence, more so like conditional discriminations, the four term contingency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what about them?
So I think I get always tripped up whenever I do mock exam questions about just these questions, I guess. Maybe just the brush up, maybe some like tips and tricks of like not getting bogged down with all the information in the question type of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially like a conditional discrimination. And I actually like conceptualize these a little bit different from Cooper, but I'll try to give you like how Cooper talks about them. But it's essentially like a discrimination that requires like more than one element to like signal as an SD.
Okay.
Cooper will also like we'll talk about this as like there are like you need to attend to the SD and make a response choice or like a choice between like two responses.
Okay.
So let's look at like a quick example of that. Let's say like you see like you see a nail that has like a flat line on top. So that would be kind of like our SD. And then you can choose between the Phillips head or the flathead screwdriver.
Okay.
So this would be a conditional discrimination here because it involves observing what our SD is. So that's saying like what type of screw it is. And then you're making a choice between which tool is going to be most useful or reinforced in that situation.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how Cooper talks about it, and that's probably how they're going to quiz you on the test is when you need to observe or like observe something and make a choice around it. So we see this in our like listener responding, or
Okay.
sorry, more like our matching to sample. So in our matching to sample, like you need to observe the sample stimulus. So that's like our SD. And then like select the correct response based off of it. Select the correct response based on available choices. Or from available choices based on that observed stimulus. So, like for example, like the sample stimulus is an orange, and then the array is an apple a steak and broccoli. So so they're probably looking for like matching by class here. So we probably match the orange to the apple. But to know like the apple was the correct choice out of these three, we needed to observe what the sample stimulus was.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And the last topic is IOA.
Yeah. That's a big one. What about IOA?
Yeah, there's so much about IOA. Let me, I think just like, knowing the differences between which one is the strictest. The strictest is the, exact count, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
well, actually, it does depend a little bit. So, when we're looking at our continuous IOA, like there are three different types. So we have our total, mean, and exact forms.
Okay.
The thing with exact IOA is that we only use exact IOA. Or actually, we'll say we'll never use exact IOA for a timing procedure.
Okay.
Or a time-based measurement, rather. So if we're looking at like what is the strictest IOA for duration, your answer is actually mean IOA.
Okay.
So so this would be the strictest for count.
Okay.
This would be strictest for duration, latency, IRT.
Okay. And then discontinuous is scored and unscored.
Yeah, we have for discontinuous IOA, we have scored, unscored, and interval by interval.
Okay, interval by interval. Okay. I always keep on forgetting that one. I don't know why.
Yeah, and honestly, like that's the most common one. Like, I feel like 90% of the time we're taking IOA with discontinuous measurements. We're doing the interval by interval.
I don't know why I always keep on. I don't know. Maybe since it's so common that I always just forget about it.
Yeah, it's like too easy, so it
Too
just gets
easy,
lost. For sure, totally seen that happen a lot. Yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to go over with these, or?
No, I think I have it down. It's just, I think for me, it's just breaking down the test questions and making sure that I don't answer them too fast, because I feel like my mock exam, I'm getting them done in like 2.5 hours. So I think I just need to slow down a little bit and actually read the questions. If you have any tips or on that, like to break down each question, because I find myself rushing through, and even if I like slow down.
Yeah, I'm finishing up edits on a video right now that is all about question answering tips. So stay tuned for that. It should be out early next week. But yeah, like some things that I would really focus on. The biggest one is just really staying really focused and oriented on what that last sentence of the question is asking about.
Okay.
I see so many student errors. Just like they read the question, they process all the information correctly, and then they go to answer it, and they answer a totally different question than what it's asking. I'm just like, no. It's the silliest thing that can happen to you. And really easy to avoid. So just make sure you're reorienting yourself to like that last sentence, and making sure that you're actually answering what it's asking about. As far as like the practice, like when you're going through the mock exams, like you should be spending time, especially like when you're down to like the two best answers, coming up with the rationales and really thinking through like why is one answer better than another answer. So so like highlight what are like the differences between these two answers, how does that relate to what it's asking, and That's funny. People are putting in like RTFQ. Just like read the fucking question. Apparently, that's one of Crystal's
Of course.
slogans here. I love it. I've actually never heard that, but I love it.
That's funny.
But I think like really like going back like when you're down to two answers, like comparing and contrasting what is different about these two answers, and then
Okay.
relating back to that last sentence of like how does that difference match up better to what they're asking. So yeah, you have plenty of time, like an hour and a half on average extra. Like spend the time like really thinking that through, and it should tighten up your scores a little bit and
Okay.
get you more confident in your answers too, because you have clear reasons of why this is better than another answer.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. So basically just dissect each question and make sure that I'm reading the last sentence to make sure that I'm picking the best answer, not the good answer
Yeah,
per se.
exactly. Not just a good answer, but why is this answer better than the other answer? So really make that comparison. Not just why is this good, but why is this, think more about why is this better than the other ones.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
We got a couple more minutes. If there's anything else you want to go
I'm
over.
yeah, I'm looking through. I'm looking through my notes. Hold
Cool.
on.
I had another like cool example, like a more natural example of a conditional discrimination that I wanted to share too. Unless
Sure.
you have something else in mind.
No, you could. Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. So yeah, for conditional discrimination, like I like to think about it as just like more than one element creates the SD. So like the SD contains more than one element. And then think about this like as if either element is missing, it's not really an SD. So let's go over like a quick example here. So for me, like if I want, let's look at my behavior of saying like, get me some ice cream. There needs to be two different things present in our SD for this to actually work. So first of all, like I need to have a friend over, plus there needs to be ice cream in my freezer. So if both of these things are there, I say get me some ice cream. Then this behavior will result in ice cream. Now, our S delta is if either of these these components are missing. So this would be like no friend over, but there is ice cream in my freezer. Now this behavior is not going to result in ice cream. And same thing if I do have a friend over, but I don't have ice cream in my freezer, then it's also going to result in no ice cream, because they're probably just not gonna like run to the store to get me some. So again, both of these things need to be present for it to be an SD. That's how I like to conceptualize it, but Cooper will make that the difference there where it's like if we need to observe the SD and make a choice from an array of things, that would also be a conditional discrimination.
Okay, and then just to piggyback off of stimulus equivalence, isn't there, I don't know where I read this, I don't know if I had this on a mock question, but the transitivity, and then there's like a more advanced or complex, the fourth contingency, is that a thing, or am I just like, maybe I misread it somewhere? I don't
Yeah.
know. Contrive a fourth um uh contingency based off of stimulus equivalence. So it's just like adding on to like, okay, if a
I don't think there's a fourth one. I think
okay,
there are like some different terms for those. So I think what you might be thinking of are like mutual and combinatorial entailment. Does that sound
maybe
familiar?
maybe
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. I don't
Yeah.
know. I remember there was a question one time where it's obviously A equals A and B equals B, and then symmetry, and then transitivity A equals C, and then it was like then you can base off of C equals D or something like that.
Oh,
Does that ring a
okay. So it's
bell?
like with a
Or
fourth
anything?
stimulus.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, maybe that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, so you could have a you could have a like a relation with like a fourth stimulus, and it kind of makes like a parallelogram. But
Okay.
you still like what you want to do is you still want to just look at the triangles within these. So like the relationships
Okay.
are not going to be any different. So like if I had these two legs of the triangle, then this one could get derived, and that would be transitivity still, even though there's four stimuli here.
Okay. So it's just a forced stimuli, and you're just doing another transitivity.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Like
okay.
you always just want to break it down to the triangle. So no matter how many stimuli or what your shape is, like look for the triangles within it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you
Appreciate
bet,
it.
Wesley. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Well, I think Serena should be on her way here in just a sec. Cool, cool. Yeah, Ariana is asking about how many mocks are in the mini mock bundle. There are 11 out right now, and then hopefully tomorrow I'll have the two more out for you guys. But definitely by Tuesday, those are going to be out. I'm determined to get those in your hands because it's been too long, and I'm honestly a little embarrassed by it. All right, hey Serena, how's it going?
Hi. Sorry, I had to pause you on the other one.
Oh no, you're good. Thanks for doing that. What's happening? What do you want to talk about today?
Okay, so I want to talk about prerequisite behaviors or component behaviors versus behavioral cusps versus pivotal behaviors.
Okay.
Uh, but before we do that, I want to take it all the way back to abolishing operation, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So I did come across a question on a mock exam, not yours, through someone else,
Uh oh.
but I was a little confused. I did do yours. I got a 79, so I felt super confident.
That's great.
But this question on this other one, I was a little confused. Do you mind if I read it to you and then we discuss it?
Yeah. Do you maybe want to share your screen over? That
Okay.
might be
Yeah,
easier.
I can do that. Let me. All right. My desktop though is a little
you
crazy.
can
So
like just share the window. You don't have to do your whole desktop.
oh wait, I don't know what this is. All right. Sorry. I'm just gonna share my desktop.
All
It's okay.
right,
There's
go for it.
nothing bad there. Um oh, maybe it won't let me.
Uh
Oh,
oh.
now it's like making me go through all of the security stuff. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Sure. You can also copy paste it into chat, and we can throw it in here too.
Oh, okay. Let me. Mm, maybe I can just type it if that's okay.
If it's a picture, you can email it to me real fast too.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay. Yeah.
That's probably the
We'll
easiest
make it
way.
smooth.
Oops.
Cool, cool, cool. Just a
Sorry.
reminder for everybody in chat, if you do want to get the notes from today's session, you are able to purchase them on the shop. They're just $5.
It is coming in 1 second.
All right.
Okay. I just hit send. Okay, so you should have it now.
All right. Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Sometimes Gmail takes a sec. Yeah, abolishing operations though, they can get tricky. All right, let's do this one. Okay. Okay, so we've got when analyzing a negative reinforcement contingency, you notice a strong abolishing operation in the contingency. Ooh, I like where this question's going already. All right, this MO likely has what effect on the behavior? Okay, so negative reinforcement contingency, we have a strong abolishing operation. So if it's negative reinforcement, what's going to be our antecedent?
Something being removed. Or
Uh,
wait.
Yeah, that'd be our
No,
consequence.
It's negative. Sorry, the antecedent to a negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
Isn't it they're doing something that is what they shouldn't be doing, or something? I don't know.
Not quite. So if something's removed in our consequence, then what does our antecedent have to be? Should that thing be there or not be there?
Sorry, do you mind saying that again?
Yeah. So we said it's removed as our consequence. So in our
Okay.
antecedent, should that stimulus be there or not be there?
Isn't it there? Because then
Yeah.
it becomes removed.
Yeah, exactly. So it has to be there to be removed. And we're talking about negative reinforcement. Is that stimulus present? Is that going to be an aversive stimulus or a reinforcing stimulus or a preferred stimulus?
For negative.
Negative reinforcement.
Well, I know it, like the behavior will continue, or they'll continue to do whatever.
All right. Yeah. Good. That's a good place to start. So we take something away, and then that behavior is going to occur more frequently. So do we engage in behavior more when good things are taken away or when bad things are taken away?
When bad things are taken away.
Good. So the antecedent here is going to be the presence of an aversive stimulus.
Okay.
Cool. Now, this question is saying that we have a strong abolishing operation for that aversive stimulus. Now, if we have an abolishing operation for a punisher, does that make the punisher stronger or weaker?
You said strong abolishing operation for a punisher,
Yeah, abolishing operation for a punisher.
and it's going to make what weaker or what stronger? Sorry.
Yeah, so if we have an abolishing operation for a punisher, does it make the punisher stronger or does it make the punisher weaker?
I guess it makes it stronger.
Not stronger. So remember, establishing is going to be increased strength. Abolishing is going to be decreased strength.
Okay, so I guess it goes away or weaker.
Yeah, so it's going to be a weaker aversive stimulus. So yeah, let's recap here. So let me see if I can annotate over here too. Actually, not finding that feature easily. Anyway, so what we have here, so remember, abolishing operations are always going to be decreased values. So if it's a reinforcer, it decreases the value of the reinforcer. If it's a punisher, it decreases the value of the punisher. So we're saying that we have something that is really strongly making the punisher less punishing in a negative reinforcement contingency. Will that increase or decrease the likelihood of the behavior?
Will that decrease the current frequency of the behavior?
Good. Yeah, I'll decrease the current frequency of the behavior. A is our correct answer for our essentially what's asking like what behavioral altering effect is going to occur.
I
So
guess this confused me just because I was looking at like reinforcement, so like continues, I guess.
yeah, so this is for a negative reinforcement contingency. So remember, that's the removal of an aversive stimulus that causes the behavior to occur more. But this is saying like, hey, that punisher, it's like really not that punishing anymore. Like, do you still have to engage in the behavior? Then probably not. So let's say like, for example, let's say like all of a sudden you hear like a really loud ringing sound and you think it's coming from your microwave.
Okay.
And so when you've messed with your microwave in the past, it's gone away. And then like that ringing sound, it just all of a sudden stops. Are you going to check your microwave?
No.
No, there's no need to. So even though checking your microwave would remove the sound, since it's not present right now, there's no need to engage in the behavior. So it's going to decrease that current likelihood of that behavior.
Gotcha. So it's funny that you mentioned that. So I was like in Home Depot this morning and there was a super loud ringing sound and I was like, I literally can't be in here. And then I like left and went to the car.
Yeah. So, would that be, so, so yeah, can you diagram that one for me? So like, what was our antecedent, behavior, consequence?
So the antecedent was with the super loud noise,
Yeah.
and then the behavior is me leaving the store, and then
Yup.
the consequence is no more loud sound.
Yeah, perfect. 100% nailed it. So we have really loud sound. We leave the store, no loud sound. So if that sound just like all of a sudden stopped, would you have left at Home Depot?
No, I wouldn't have left Home Depot.
So that's essentially like what happened in this one. We had a strong abolishing operation where that punishing stimulus was no longer that punishing. So I didn't need to get engage in the behavior that removes it.
Okay. So it's an abolishing because I want to get rid of the sound, or could it
No,
also be
it's abolishing because the sound is no longer there.
Oh, okay, but it's establishing because I need to get out or because I'm wanting to leave.
The presence of the sound would be an establishing operation or an
Okay.
aversive stimulus. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, like if it like keeps getting louder, that's like making this sound worse and like increasing that MO to get out.
Okay.
If the sound is going down, then it's like, okay, we can tolerate this. Like I don't need to leave to get rid of it because it's fine.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
Sweet.
So that was good. And then if you don't mind, if we could go over the prerequisite behaviors or component behaviors versus behavioral cusps versus pivotal behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, like prerequisite behaviors, are like behaviors, that are required to learn a skill fully or easily. So like depending on like what behavior you're trying to teach, like there's different prerequisites. So like for example, if I wanted to look at like teaching imitation, what do you think like are some prerequisite skills for that?
Like attending skills.
Yeah, like attending to a model, absolutely. I would say it's probably our most important. Like if they don't attend to a model, then we're not going to be able to teach imitation very easily. So, like once we have that, then it makes more sense to teach imitation. Before we have that, it doesn't really make sense to teach imitation.
Right. Another thing or I guess an example I was looking at was like if you were learning to use the computer, the prereq would be just turning it on.
Well, let's think about that. So, is it required to learn before to learn a skill fully or usually? Like, I don't know if that's actually a prerequisite skill because you could like I don't turn my computer off very often. So that might not be a prerequisite skill there, where it's like you can learn to navigate a computer without knowing how to push the power button.
Okay.
So I'd say like it's a related behavior, but not necessarily a prerequisite skill. I would say like more of a prerequisite skill for that would be like knowing how to use a mouse. Like if you don't know how to use a mouse or a trackpad, then then you don't really have much hope of learning how to use a computer, or, like how to like browse the internet. So yeah, let's do like browsing the internet. Would require like knowing how to use a mouse. And keyboard. So yeah, I would say like those are prerequisite skills where it's like this is required to learn that. Like I'm not going to teach somebody how to use the internet if they don't know how to use a mouse first.
Yeah. Well, what would be the difference between that and behavioral cusp? Because doesn't that technically allow you to enter a potential new environment? If you now know how to use the mouse, you can click on like internet or Safari or whatever.
Yeah, I would say that like there's a lot of overlap between these terms, which is probably why you're getting a little tripped up. Like I could think of a behavior that could fall under all three of these. And I think you really need to look more at like the situation that it's occurring in. Okay. So behavior cusp is behavior that when learned will extend to a variety of other reinforcement contingencies and environments. So like, so if we're looking at like using a mouse on a keyboard, or like using a mouse on a computer, rather, then let's say like to click Google Chrome, then this could also transfer to like clicking like the Facebook icon, or like transfer to clicking their bank to check their bank account. And like other, obviously other different things too, like buy something on Amazon.
Yeah, it's so interesting because like couldn't this also be like untrained or like pivotal behaviors as well?
In what way?
Because like now I use this mouse and then I go to, I don't know, I click on Facebook and now I'm creating a Facebook account and I'm doing all these things that I didn't know before, I guess.
I would say like like if we're just looking at like the transfer of the clicking for like different purposes, that would be more categorized as a cusp. Pivotal behaviors are when like we're transferring to like new topographies. So this is a behavior that, when learned, will transfer to new topographies. And these are like often unrelated, or like often like physically unrelated. So like one example I like here is like if we're looking at like a reading behavior, like we could see reading as a cusp where it's like we can read different types of texts, and like text on a menu, text on a book, text on Facebook, whatever. A pivotal behavior would be that like this skill allows for the emergence of a new skill. So this would be like, I read a recipe online and now I've learned how to make a pie.
Okay.
So like, so yeah, let's look at this example. So this would be like reading, which like allows person to read a recipe to generate pie making ability. So that's when we think about like pivotal behavior. I like to think like it pivots to a new behavior. So like I'm trying to think about like the clicking and like setting up a Facebook account. Like, is that really like a brand new behavior? Well, if we look at the topographies, like it's just clicking. So I think it'd be categorized better as a cusp because it's the same behavior transferring, and not necessarily generating a totally new topography of behavior.
But would it be like the actual creating of the account would be a pivotal behavior then?
I mean, let's think about like if it's a totally different topography. I mean, it still just seems like using mouse and keyboard. So it's like using mouse and keyboard. It's the same behavior that's extending to new reinforcement.
Okay.
So I think that would still be counted as a cusp.
Okay.
So yeah, when you think about pivot, like pivoting to a totally new behavior is kind of like the best connection to make there.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
And then one more, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think we can do one more real quick.
Okay. Can we just go over concurrent operants reinforcer assessment and like maybe an example of that?
Sure. Yeah, concurrent operants reinforcer assessment. So essentially, like we have multiple response options available at the same time. Each response option results in a different reinforcer. With these like couple considerations, what we want to do is we want to like choose a response that is equal response effort, or choose responses rather that are equal response effort between them. Just to like not have response effort like confound the data. A really like easy way to arrange this is like have the responses be different card touches that result in different reinforcers. So let's say like for example, like we wanted to actually what's kind of cool is that like these assessments have been doing a lot of people have been doing these assessments to evaluate treatment preference of their clients recently. So Greg Hanley did a really kind of famous study on this where we did concurrent operants of treatment preference. So their arrangement was that they had I think 3 different cards out. One led to FCT with punishment. One led to FCT plus extinction. And I'm not sure if they did this one, but I think they did, or at least they should have. One led to like no consequence. Maybe they only did the 2. I don't. I'd have to check that study again. It's been a minute. But essentially, it's nice to have a control card because like if they're not like making meaningful differentiations between the different cards, it's kind of like having like the control condition in an FA. Like we're going to compare the rates to control. So what they did was that they like first expose the individual to the responses and consequences, and I can't think of the term for this, but like a pre-warm up, kind of like just like get them used to and understand like the contingencies that they're about to face, and then they're kind of just like, hey, go at it. So like I think like every 15 minutes or so they would like allow them the different treatment options. So like, hey, can you choose either the FCT with punishment or the FCT with extinction? They actually got really interesting data where most of the clients preferred the FCT plus punishment together. So kind of interesting where it's like we don't always know what's going to be most preferred by our clients, and like the concurrent operants reinforcer assessment is a good way to identify that. But essentially, like we would just look at the rates of the card touches. So if they touch this card significantly more frequently than both of these cards, then we would know this is the preferred option, or at least the more reinforcing option. And like the opposite would be true if this was higher rate than the other 2. So that was like a real brief. There's definitely a little bit more to it, but hopefully that was enough to get you happy.
It was just like what I had read. I can't remember where I got this from. It was just saying that 2 or more different behaviors are linked to specific reinforcers, and the individual can choose which behavior to engage in. So I guess in this case, they were choosing which.
Yep. One. So we're going to have like 2 different card touches lead to 2 different reinforcers. And then the one that they touch more is going to be more reinforcing.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. It's great to have you on, Serena.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Right. Take care, and we'll continue our Bonanza. All right. Well, sweet. Thank you guys so much for still continuing to be here. We still got 62 people here after over 2 hours on stream now, so that is pretty impressive. Again, if you want to get the notes from today's session, you can get them on the shop here. That is all for our live participants, but as I promised, we are going to finish up our discrimination stuff a little bit. I will put these on the notes as well, so I'll put some screenshots of all these terms in there for you. But just to recap, so we talked about discrimination training and stimulus discrimination. So discrimination training, this is when we are providing the consequences for a single behavior, either in the presence of the SD or S delta. Stimulus discrimination, also known as stimulus control, this is going to be the result of that. So it makes sense, like behavior occurs more frequently in the presence of one stimulus than another stimulus due to discrimination training. My soda is now almost empty, so when this is completely empty, I'm going to be in S delta condition for drinking this, where it's no longer going to result in soda in my mouth. So we have extinction in the presence of the empty can, and reinforcement in the presence of can with liquid in it. The result of that is that I'm only going to drink out of this when there's liquid in it. Got my last little drop there. And then I'm now this is empty. I'm in my S delta condition, so I'm no longer going to drink out of that. So our stimulus discrimination is that we see the shifts in the two behaviors according to the stimuli that they're associated with and the contingencies. So my S delta is associated with extinction, not going to engage in the behavior there. SD is associated with reinforcement. I am going to engage in it there. Let's look at some facts about discrimination. The SD will always signal that the contingency is on. So whether we are looking at reinforcement or punishment, it's signaling that that is active and ready to go. Our S delta will always signal that the contingency is off. So this is either going to be extinction or recovery from punishment. If you don't know recovery from punishment, this is when a behavior is no longer punished, and we'll see the behavior increase. Our S delta is most often the absence of the SD. We'll talk about this a little bit more later. So like this situation, we had liquid in the cup and no liquid in the cup. So SD, S delta right there. Discrimination training can be natural or contrived. So like nobody had to tell me like, hey, there's no liquid in this, Nick. You're not going to get anything out of it. It's like, yeah, I know. I learned that. So that's would be a very natural example. Contrived would be when they're more explicitly taught. Here's discrimination training in the Skinner box. So we have our SD condition is that our light is on. This signals that when the rat presses the lever that he's going to receive water. Now, one thing I really want to note here is that, like, yeah, we see reinforcement here, but it's a reinforcement that's associated with our SD. So not only is this going to increase the rate of lever pressing, it's going to localize that increase of rate of lever pressing under this antecedent condition, our SD. So it's only going to do so when the light is on. Now let's look at our S delta contingency. We have our light is off. This is going to decrease we have extinction for this one. So we have no water, press lever, still no water. Now that's going to result in decreases in the rate of lever pressing, but that also is going to get associated with our antecedent. So it's only going to do so when the light is off. Here would be discriminated punishment. So here, just an example here. Now we are looking at like the presentation of shock. So if the rat presses the lever when the SD is present, so when he hears this buzzing tone, he's going to get shocked. And again, we have punishment here, but that punishment is going to get localized to that SD condition. We talked earlier that like MOs create like those behavior altering effects. But SDs can also create those behavior altering effects, but the consequence is still the thing that's responsible for them. So it's the consequence of this behavior when it's associated with our SD creates the decrease, but it's localized to when the SD is present when they hear that buzzing tone. Our S delta here, note for our punishment, we actually see less behavior in our SD and more behavior in the S delta. So the S delta signals that the behavior is not being punished. So that is going to increase the rate of that behavior under that condition. Nadia's asking when the next Bonanza is going to be. We usually, I think like about every 3 weeks seems like a comfortable schedule for this. So I'm going to say about 3 weeks, but we'll see. All right, let's get into some more facts. There is no S delta. There is no SD. It's probably going to be something else like a prompt or an operandum. If you're not familiar with these terms, the operandum is the part of the environment the organism manipulates. So if you're looking at the Skinner box arrangement, this would be the lever in the Skinner box. So like if the lever is not present, that doesn't mean it's an SD or an S delta. It just means that the behavior cannot physically occur. Same thing like with my soda can. Like if I don't have a soda can, like I can't drink from it. Like there's nothing to do. Doesn't mean that like drinking wouldn't get reinforced. It's just that I physically can't engage in the behavior. So think about operandi. If the operandum is not present, again, it's not an SD. It's just that the behavior is physically impossible. And prompts are just extra or supplemental stimuli that increase the likelihood of a response. So think about like if it's necessary to tell if reinforcement or punishment is going to occur or not. If it's not necessary, then it's probably going to be more like a prompt than an SD or S delta. Yeah, operandum is a weird one. I wish they would teach it a little bit more because I think it helps like differentiate between if something's an SD or not. I don't know. I wish people would teach it more. Well, that's why you're here. The cool people who teach things right. All right. Stimulus discrimination is the opposite of stimulus generalization. So exact opposite terms here. It's not necessarily like one of these is good or bad. It's just that they're going to be more situational. In discrimination, what we're doing is we're narrowing our antecedent stimuli where a behavior will occur to. And generalization, we're expanding the antecedent stimuli that we want a behavior to occur to. So essentially, like the goal of most of our teaching processes is that we want to teach generalization within our appropriate stimulus classes. So like I know like all these things are all things I can drink out of. But also like understand the differences between them. So like I would call this one a water bottle, but I would not call this one a water bottle. I'd call this one a soda can, but I would also not call this a soda can. So discrimination across their different properties, but generalization across the things that are relevant about them. So like both of these are things that I can drink out of and get some liquid in my body. Last fact here is that the more salient your SD or S delta is, the easier discrimination training is. So salient, that word refers to like how obvious or like how apparent something is within the environment. So if something is really obvious or really apparent, it's going to be easier to acquire SDS delta properties. All right, let's go through a few examples. Let's check this first one. We got a couple simple ones. Whenever the stove is red, you will get burned when you touch it. And if it's not red, then you will not get burned when you touch it. So our behavior is really not touching the stove. Real quick in chat, what's our SD? What's our SD for this behavior? It's not the stove. We can't touch a stove if we don't have a stove. Yeah, I can't touch a stove right now. Are some people getting it? Yeah, Tapashi's on it. Yeah, Tina's on it. Good. Nice, Nikki. Yeah, there you go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Love that, Nikki. All right, so our SD here is going to be the redness of the stove. So when the stove is red and I touch it, the consequence of that is going to get, is I'm going to receive a burn. What kind of contingency is this one? We have no burn, touch stove, burn. What kind of contingency? Bonus if you want to put the effect. Extra cool points if you put where the effect is localized. Remember, establishing, abolishing, those are only terms that relate to MOs. We're not going to use those terms anywhere else but MOs. Anybody else want to go for this? We're looking at the contingency. No burn, touch stove, burn. What we got? What we got? All right, this one is actually going to be positive punishment. Positive punishment. So we saw that the burn was presented. Nice, Antoinette got that. Burn was presented, it was added, and this is going to result in a decrease of that behavior. And it's only going to do so when the stove is red. So again, positive punishment for this one. Pause punishment. All right, what's our S delta? Let's see in chat, what's our S delta? Cool, yeah, Antoinette, Tingwei, like where you're going. Yeah, the West Indian, right? That looks good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, this one is going to be that the stove is not red. And when the stove is not red, then when I touch the stove, then I will not get burned. This will cause an increase in rate of that behavior. This is what we'll call recovery from punishment. Recovery from punishment. So recovery from punishment is when we see the behavior is no longer being punished. So we have no burn, touch stove, no burn, and that's going to result in increases in rate. And again, note that the increases in the future rate are going to get localized to our S delta, the stimulus that's associated with that recovery contingency. All right. I'm just going to go through this diagram real fast because we kind of talked about it already. When there's no coffee in your cup, you won't get any coffee in your mouth when you try to drink from it. And then you will when you do drink from it. So here's our contingency. Coffee in the cup is our SD. And when we drink from the cup, the consequence, we're going to get coffee in our mouth. Note that the cup itself is our operandum, so it's not the SD. The coffee inside of the cup is the actual SD. If I don't have a cup, I can't drink from a cup. So that's the cup is the operandum. So we have reinforcement up here, extinction down here, so no coffee in my mouth. Again, it's very similar to my no soda right now, and you saw I haven't really drank from this since that happened. All right, couple tricks for differentiating SDs from MOs. First one is the S delta test. So think about if this stimulus is absent, does the consequence change? So if yes, it's an SD. If no, it's not an SD. So we looked at like, hey, if the soda can isn't present, does the consequence change? And we're like, well, if I drink from a soda can, like it will still result in the soda, but if it's not there, then I physically can't engage in the behavior. So that's what makes it not an SD. So that can be a good test. This tip can get you a ton of questions right without even thinking about it. So aversive antecedents are MOs 100% of the time. So you hear that really loud ringing sound, you hear it's raining outside, things like that. 100% of the times you're experiencing something shitty, it's an MO. The reason for that is like we don't like experiencing shitty things, so it's an MO to kind of get rid of that thing. Both SDs and MOs have behavior altering effects, and they are antecedent stimuli, so they can make behavior more or less likely in the moment. The differences between those is how they do it. So SDs only do that by signaling availability of a consequence. MOs only do that through value altering effects, so that by changing how powerful a reinforcer or punisher is. All right, We're gonna go through one of these examples, and then we're gonna do a giveaway for our second mock bundle, and then we're gonna call it a day. But what I really like about these examples is that we get to go through the whole contingency, all of the different components. So let's go ahead and check this one out. We've got Harold checked out a study room at the library from 3 to 5 p.m. to get some silent space to crush hard for his exam the following day. He was emailed a code for the door that does not work outside of his scheduled time. He goes at 3, enters the code, and his peaceful study room is unlocked. The behavior that we're going to be looking at is entering the code on the door. So first of all, what is the reinforcer for entering the code on the door? Let's see in chat. What's the reinforcer? We enter the code. What's the reinforcer? Yeah, awesome. Loving it in chat. Yeah, Tingwei, Janelle, Trinity looks great. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, that door unlocks. You get the study room. Perfect. Yeah, I think all those work. Don't worry about that, Janelle. Good. So yeah, the reinforcer is the access to the study room. So what is the MO? So what makes that reinforcer more reinforcing? What does the MO? What makes that study room more reinforcing? So remember, the quiet room is the reinforcer, not an MO. I see one person got it right. Ting Wei. Killing it. Yeah, nice. The West Indian too. Remember, the silent space or the study room, that's the reinforcer, not the MO. So a silent space to study is more reinforcing because he has an exam the following day. The exam coming up is the MO. It makes a quiet space more reinforcing. The reinforcer is the silent space. So we have to look at what makes the silent space more reinforcing. It's the exam coming up. All right, what's the operandum for this behavior? We're entering the code in the door. What's the operandum? Ooh, we're about 50-50. Is it the door or the code? Remember, the behavior we're looking at is entering the code in the door. What's the operandum? Oh, we are dead split here. Good. Yeah, Phaedra, Tingwei, Victoria, Natalie looks good. The operandum here is going to be the door. So the door or like the lock or the keypad, I would have taken any of those. It's not the code. The code is the behavior we're doing. We're entering the code as the behavior. But you can't enter a code into a door unless you have the door with the keypad. I would have taken door or keypad. Code would be incorrect. What is the SD here? SD, so stimulus that signals this behavior will be reinforced. So stimulus that signals this behavior will be reinforced. So entering the code will result in the quiet room. Good. Okay, I'm liking it. Yeah, we're getting on the right track now. Nikki, Tamana, Janelle looks good. Yeah, Tina T looks good. Nice job. Tingwei, you can take that question mark off. You got it. Yeah, Nikki, I love that. That's even more specific. Love it. All right, so the SD is going to be within this time period. So it is between 3 and 5 p.m. and entering the code will work. That means our S delta is the absence of that, so it's outside of that time. Let's look at our full diagram here. Again, the behavior is putting in the code in the door. Our operandum is the door and the keypad. The SD is going to be during that time, during the scheduled time, when our MO, again, is going to be the exam coming soon. So the exam coming soon makes this quiet room more reinforcing. So we have no quiet room, put in the code, we get the quiet room during our SD condition, so during that our scheduled time. Again, this increases the rate of that entering the code during that SD condition, so it's associated with our SD. That's going to create an evocative effect for our SD. It's also going to create, we have our S delta contingency is going to create an abative effect for our S delta. So if it's not that scheduled time, we have extinction here. So you put in the code, you still don't have your quiet room. This is going to decrease that rate of entering that code during those, or outside of that period of time. For sure. I have a couple more of these, but we are gonna wrap this up. My throat is starting to get a little sore. Man, we've been going for 2 hours and 34 minutes or so. So maybe I'll put the other two like in a separate clip for y'all soon. But I have so much on my plate, it probably won't be that soon. Anyway, like I said, we're gonna do one more giveaway as promised. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna give away a full ultimate mock bundle. Thank you so much for all of your participation during this, and thanks so much for everybody who signed up and came live on the stream too. I felt like we had a really awesome and assorted set of topics today. So yeah, let's pay it back to y'all. Let's give away another copy of the ultimate mock bundle. Thank you guys so much for being here. Yeah, y'all are awesome. This was super fun today. Appreciate all of your support and stuffs. Let's give this away. We'll do 1 to 500 this time. We've got a smaller pool of people for this one too, so your odds are even better. Give me a number, 1 to 500. Winner will win the full ultimate mock bundle. Again, if you only need one component of this, so if you already have the mini mocks or you already have the Beat the Beast, you're still able to participate, and I'll give you the component that you don't have. And yeah, if you want to view the stream live, it should be available immediately. You can rewatch the whole thing if you want. And if you want to purchase the notes from today's session as well, I highly recommend that you do that. They are just $5 on the shop. Let me pull up that link again for y'all. And yeah, people were asking about like the study groups earlier too. Those are still going on. So check out our link tree. You can join the Power Preppers group on Facebook. If you aren't on Facebook, but you still want to get notifications, all of that, send me a DM on Insta or email or whatever, and I'll add you to our email list and send you out all those links. The Zoom links are always the same each week, so if you just use that same link and be there at the right times, then you'll be there. Molly's hosting tomorrow. I don't know what her topic is. I don't know. She might be continuing ethics, but she might do something else. So definitely go see Molly tomorrow. Yeah, she's awesome. All right, here's our number 77. Who we got? All right, 77. Who's close? I see a 48. Anybody closer? 77. Anybody? Well, I think everybody's kind of far. Oh, we see 49. 49 might be our closest. That's 28 away. So we'd have to be under 105. I don't see anybody under 105. I think All About Sandy is going to be our winner, it looks like. Let me just confirm. Anybody in the 50s? No? Yeah, I think Sandy. All right, Sandy, you are our winner tonight, or today. Anyway, congratulations. Go ahead and shoot me an email, understandingbehaviorofficial@gmail.com, and I will get you your full mock bundle. Congratulations. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming out today, folks. It's always a blast spending my Sunday afternoons with y'all. Hopefully you had fun as well. Yeah, if you want to purchase any of the mocks, you can buy the single mocks with 15% off using the code UBNerd. There is no discount for the mock bundle. It is the best price that comes right now until we have like a really big sale, which probably won't be till Black Friday. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting these, definitely check them out. And then we should have the 2 extra mini mocks for that, for a total of 13 mocks up for you Tuesday. I'm gonna say Tuesday. It's gonna happen. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. Have a great rest of your weekend. Keep crushing the studying. Hope to see you around this week in all of upcoming events. Take care. Keep it chill. And laters. Bye.